Welcome back to another trade breakdown where I'm going to break down exactly how I lost just over 1 lakh rupees in this particular stock, what I did right, what I did wrong, what I should have done better, and what stopped me from making upwards of 20% on my money, which was to come in this particular name. What did I do wrong on the 17th of June and what I should have done better? Let's break it all down in the next 15 minutes. So let's get started. Now, firstly, Thangamayil Jewelry. So this is a stock. If I start with what the company does. It operates in the chain of jewelry retail stores, primarily in South India, selling gold, diamond, silver, platinum, and gemstone jewelry. This company focuses on wedding jewelry and traditional jewelry markets. So it's very clear that this is in the retail sector and in the jewelry retail sector to be specific. Now, certain stocks from the same sort of sector, if we have a look around this time period, what were they doing? So from the same sector, if we have a look at a stock like Sky Gold, right? What was the stock doing? It was already in a prior up move and stage two were both ticked off. Another stock which just comes to my mind, right? Okay, now this stock did not have a stage two yet, but we can see clearly that the up move started coming in after the earnings report had come. So another episodic pivot, but I would not buy this one because of the location of this particular stock. So it was clear to me that sector stocks were in action. Goldium, another stock, right? All two factors are there. Stage two is there, and the prior up move is also coming into Goldium as well. So the jewelry space was definitely a hot space at the time of my entry. However, there are multiple factors to look at when you're looking to enter a stock. Now, for everyone saying that I'm sort of, like not showing the real PNL and things like that, that's not true. I don't have anything to lose with these YouTube videos. The idea is that I want to impart my learnings and I want to actually help all of you guys understand what I do right and what I do wrong, because evidently I have lost money as well. So let's break down what I did wrong in this particular stock. Now, there are tons of things to look into. All right. Firstly, the first thing that I'm looking at whenever I am buying a stock, and one of the most important things, if I can just find my text box, is the thrust of the stock. Okay. So when I talk about thrust, and you can see it right here, clean price action and thrust. So I'm just going to add that as well. Clean price action is that I want to see that does this stock in the past, has it shown the ability to move strongly and in a fast manner? And if I go back to the history of Thangamayil, I can see that this stock has that thrust power. It's moved 60% in a matter of a few days over here, right? So this stock definitely has the ability to move well. It's done it here as well. You can see my back testing over here. What is this? 155% move in a clean linear manner. Just with riding the 10 and the 20-day moving average, you're making a massive amount of money, and you can see the stock has that thrust. So Thangamayil Jewelry, superb stock in terms of thrust, and its price action is very clean. There's no reason for me to feel like this is a choppy stock ever in this entire basing period as well. This is not a choppy stock, right? A choppy stock that comes to mind is potentially what, Reddington, like a long time ago. Like, look at this. This is what I would say is still choppy right here, right? This is choppy action. Or Aarti Pharma right here. Mm, no, actually, this is not that bad, but this phase here was choppy over here for sure, like this entire area. You can see that. So Thangamayil in comparison is not like that. And just excuse me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but let's let's have that. All right. Now, the second thing that I look for, of course, is environment, right? The environment is super important whenever I'm looking at a particular stock. And that for me is when the small cap is above the 10-day moving average. In this case, is the small cap above the 10-day moving average on the day of the breakout? Yes, it was. And if I go back to check that, this was the 17th of June. The 17th of June, right here. So the 10-day moving average is above, the small cap index is above the 10-day moving average, which means the environment is good. Now, the environment is not just the moving average, it's just not just the small cap above the moving average. It's also very important to check what is the after breakout and breakout action in other stocks. So at that period of time, June was a choppy month, but we were coming off of these levels right here. All right, so you can see that we were just coming off of these levels on the 17th of June, breaking out of these two base consolidations. So it was a very easy stock to enter, and the environment was could have become better as the stock started moving upwards. Now, apart from that, if we also look at another thing that I have as a very important factor is prior up move, right? What is prior up move? I want the stock to show me that it is already in momentum. And how do I do that? I do that by looking at whether the stock has risen at least 20 or 25% in the past 3 months, in the past 1 month, or in the basing period at least. So I can see over here clearly strong prior up move. So this stock has matched the first criteria, the second criteria, and the third criteria of the winning edge, which is my protocol that I like to follow. Now, the fourth part, which is clean price action and thrust. Sorry, we discussed that as well. So the fourth is also ticked. Stage two is ticked. The stock is evidently in stage two. So those are the first four. Sector strength we discussed in the start. That was also ticked. So I'm going to add that as well over here. Right. So far, if we have a look, I have passed 5 out of 6 of my key criteria. And then the last one is liquidity. So that is also very clearly liquid stock over here, massively liquid stock, 109 crores. So 6 out of 7 factors have been ticked off over here, which makes this a strong candidate to work. But the one key factor that I missed out on was the pivot point. Okay. I entered my stock on this day and I got out the next day. Over here, the reason why I believe that this was not a clean pivot point is just because the right hand side was not fully developed. And that is the pivot was not at the 10-day moving average. Okay, so if we have a look, let me just draw this. We can see clearly, sorry, this one. So this would have been my entry price, right? And this would have been my exit price. Now this comes to a 5.13% stop, which is big. I like to have my stops flat maximum at 5% maximum. And from the 10-day moving average, this stock is at least 6% away. What I want to see happening in a stock, ideally, what I should have waited for, right, is 1 day inside. What happens is that in this price action, automatically the 10-day would have caught up, my stop loss would have become smaller, and it would have made a lot more sense. Now let's see what actually happened in the price action. All right, stock broke out. I took my entry. It was a premature early entry. The stock was not fully developed. Its right hand side was not completely developed. And that means that the supply was not exhausted. So naturally, what happens then? There comes an outside day. An outside day for me becomes a violation. I get out of the stock. But the 10-day is still being completely held. Okay, held the 10-day. All right, no problems, shakeout and a reversal. So very good signs now. So now what is my stop? It's still 7.5%. So I cannot possibly take this entry point. Okay, it's come back. Perfect. All right, now what's my stop loss? This stop comes to 4.81%. Now, now two things have been done. Already the first 6 of 7 factors that I was looking at have been ticked off. Additionally, what has made this a stronger purchase here off of this high, if it was to break out, is the fact that the right hand side is now fully developed and my pivot point is hugging the 10-day moving average. I cannot stress on this fact enough that the pivot point hugging the 10-day moving average is such an important factor to have in a stock because it really adds to the ability of a stock being more successful. Because whenever you hug the 10-day moving average in a pivot and have the other factors, it shows to me that the supply has been exhausted. And what is the best way to look at that? If we see this entire basing period, okay, from the up move, the lowest volume day was right here on 21 crores. Before this 57, 83, you can look right here, okay? 21, 57, 83, 31, 75, 66, 59, 64, 70, 70, 80, 143, 50, 700, whatever. You see, you get the point. This is the lowest volume day in the entire basing period. And this to me, with the 10-day moving average and the right hand side, it is a plus setup. Plus setup, right? Sector strength is there. All stocks are doing good. Sky Gold was also, I think, Yeah, okay. Sky Gold had come below the 10-day moving average, but the volumes had picked up. And I think eventually this also takes back because Thangmile was the leader. So let's see what happens after. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. Now Thangmile comes up again. This has now become an even better setup, 3.5% of a stop loss, right? And that small gap index is above the 10-day moving average. The only thing that stopped me here is that I had already taken, I think, 3 or 4 stop losses back to back. So automatically my risk appetite had shrunk quite a bit. And that is why I passed this setup. But this was fantastic over here, right? Over here, it's as well. If this broke these highs, right, I could have initiated, I would have in hypothetical state initiated this trade simply because of the everything that I just explained in the past candle. But now what happens? Stock breaks out. Next day, stock goes up. Big outside day. I would have, if I was in the trade, would have sold at least 1/3 over here because it's a big violation and then trail the rest with the 10. Okay, you come back in. No worries. No worries. And now you have set yourself up for a pyramid entry. This again, right? This entry works for a pyramid because if you already have a stake here, you sold 1/3 here, you're getting a re-entry of 1/3 again. But if I was to take a fresh size, it's too far away from the 10 for me right now, right? A supply has exhausted, but not to the point where it had exhausted here. So stock moves, again stock reverses because of course here the stock moved up on the day I think when the war not the war but that ceasefire thing had come about, that I'm breaking the ceasefire by Mr. Trump. Yeah, because the small cap had come below the 10, so it has to be that, right? 8th of July. I'm pretty damn sure. We can have a look. Yeah, 8th of July. There we go. And then what happens after that? Stock reverses the next day, and today is come back to the 10-day moving average. So from its peak, right, from this sort of entry point that would have been taken, this stock would have returned 26.8% gains, which is absolutely humongous in in a market which has been in the past week and a half where stocks are not working or they are working and then in 2 days breaking out. Sorry, fading out. My bad. Right. So that is sort of the analysis of how I messed up an A plus plus setup. Everything it had. Environment was good. Thrust was there, clean price action, stage 2, prior up move, sectoral strength, massive liquidity. All that I needed to do was wait for the pivot to be formed completely. And this has been my biggest enemy in this financial year, and I have reflected on that. I've had multiple trades that I have taken from the start wherein the pivot is not fully developed. And that is why I had to develop this. I wipe coded this entire checklist, right? Because it was important for me to have this in front of me. Otherwise, I was making the same silly mistake again and again. And now I don't. I just wait for this right hand side to develop. And that helped me a lot. So of course, right? I am a trader. I am going to have losses. I am going to have winners. But it's important to learn from the winners and the losers and accept them because it's going to happen. There's no point of me saying that I'm always going to have a high win rate. And that is exactly what a trade like Thangamile has taught me. Now, if I was holding this, I would have ideally like easily have ridden this with the 10-day moving average. And if the market was a nice bull market, the 20-day as well for my last size. That was the way that I approached this stock. I should have done it better. It was a fantastic, fantastic trade. And this is a video that I'm going to look back at multiple times to just nail down the concept for me that, brother, just wait for the 10-day to catch up. It will give you a better entry point, a low risk entry point, and an entry point where the supply has exhausted, most importantly. But hey, we live and we learn. That's it for today's video. It's been 13 and a half minutes of me talking about a mistake that I made. I hope you guys have learned something from it. Please, please, please like, share, subscribe especially. It's been amazing response recently in the past couple of videos. It's really, I did not expect any of this to happen. And thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. I cannot wait to document everything. I genuinely feel like YouTube, like I'm across all socials, right? I'm on Instagram. I'm somewhat of a semi-influencer over there. I'm on Twitter, where I'm documenting my entire journey, and now YouTube as well. But YouTube is where I thrive. I feel like as a kid, I used to make these silly skits on YouTube, or I used to make these math tricks, things like that on YouTube. I've been doing this for quite some time, but I finally found something where I can amalgamate my passion of making money through stocks stocks and also my passion for YouTube, because I genuinely feel I thrive over here. So please share, please like, please subscribe, comment what you guys want to see. Trade breakdowns are only one part of my YouTube channel. I want to do other sort of videos as well, whether that's learning based videos or things like that. So let me know what you would like to see. Thank you so much for joining me, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.